Have you ever been driving completely sure of your route, only to end up somewhere you've never seen before? A place that feels real, but that no map seems to acknowledge. This is a story like that. A story about a road, a town, and a mystery that lingers long after the drive is over. A man was driving home late one night. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a long day at work and a familiar route ahead. But then his GPS rerouted him. Road construction, it said. He was guided off the main highway onto a smaller, quieter state road. At first, the directions were clear. Turn left here, continue for 5 miles. But then, things got strange. The voice guidance stopped giving street names. The map on his screen zoomed out, leaving his car's icon floating in a vast, empty space. He wasn't worried, not yet. Cell service in rural areas can be unreliable. It happens. He kept driving. The road grew narrower with dense trees pressing in on both sides. But the pavement was smooth, well maintained. Reflective markers lined the edges, a comforting sign that this was a legitimate route. Everything seemed normal, just a bit isolated. And then the town appeared. It wasn't a dramatic reveal, no sudden skyline breaking the horizon. It was a gentle curve in the road that opened onto a small main street. A gas station, a diner, a post office. Lights were on in the windows and cars were parked along the curb. It looked lived in, peaceful. But what struck him was the silence. An unnatural, heavy silence. There was no traffic, no people walking, no distant murmur of conversation. Even the hum of electricity from the streetlights felt muted, distant. He slowed his car, rolling past a welcome sign. The design was simple, rustic, but the name printed on it was completely unfamiliar. He knew this part of the country, knew the names of the small towns scattered throughout the region. This one, it meant nothing to him. He pulled out his phone again. The GPS was still useless. The screen showed a blank grid. No town, no streets, just his blue arrow floating over nothing. He needed gas, so he pulled into the station. Pump worked, the receipt printed. Inside, the clerk was polite but distant. He answered questions with short, clipped sentences, expertly avoiding any real conversation. When the man asked for the name of the town, the clerk said it without hesitation, and then immediately changed the subject, asking if he needed anything else. That's when the man started noticing other odd details. None of the businesses had their hours posted on the doors. There were no community flyers on the bulletin boards, no event posters in the windows. Even the newspapers stacked in a rack by the door seemed blank, their headlines obscured or missing entirely. It felt like a stage set, perfectly arranged but lacking the messy details of real life. A sense of unease finally settled in. He finished fueling, got back in his car, and turned the key. His GPS flickered back to life. It had a new route for him, but it didn't just pick up where it left off. It wanted him to turn around, to go back the way he came, but on a different road that branched off just outside of town. He hesitated for a moment, then decided to follow it. Within minutes, the town was gone. It didn't fade into the distance. It just vanished from his rearview mirror. No sign, no gentle curve, just an unbroken line of trees and road. Later that night, safely at home, his curiosity turned into a quiet obsession. He searched online for the town's name, nothing. He scoured digital county maps, historical registries, even old postal service archives. There was no record of it. It was as if the town he had just driven through, filled his car with gas in, and spoken to a clerk in had never existed. This is where the story deepens, because he's not the only one. Travel forums and late-night radio shows are filled with similar accounts. Whispers of phantom towns that appear only under certain conditions, places you can only find when you're not looking for them. Psychologists offer logical explanations. Memory distortion, fatigue from long hours on the road, the power of suggestion. Brains are incredibly good at filling in the gaps, especially when we're tired and disoriented. Cartographers point out that GPS systems aren't perfect. They sometimes fail to display very small, unincorporated communities or can lag in updating their data. These are all reasonable explanations, but the stories share details that are hard to dismiss. The towns are never described as threatening or hostile. They're never abandoned or in ruins. They feel paused, like a place caught in a single quiet moment waiting for something that never arrives. An unverified account tells of a couple who, lost on a detour, stumbled upon one of these towns and decided to stay the night. The motel room was spotless. mattress, the bed comfortable. But when they left the next morning, the road out seemed impossibly long. When they finally hit a familiar highway, they realized hours had passed, far more time than the short distance should have taken. Another traveler claimed she saw familiar faces in the town's diner. Not people she knew, but uncanny resemblances to distant relatives, people she hadn't seen in years. It created a strange, unsettling feeling of misplaced nostalgia, of being somewhere both new and deeply familiar at the same time. Of course, these stories are impossible to verify. They could easily be the mind playing tricks, finding patterns and meaning where there are none. But one detail is told again and again with chilling consistency. Those who find these towns can never find them again. They try. They retrace their steps, drive the same back roads, even try to recreate the exact conditions, the time of day, the weather. But it's no use. The road that led them there once now leads somewhere else entirely. The detour is gone. The turnoff no longer exists. If you ask locals in the surrounding areas, they might laugh. They'll talk about the old route or a road that doesn't always go where it should. But they'll treat it like a folktale, a quirky piece of local lore. Maps are tools, roads are physical, towns don't just appear and disappear. That's just common sense. And yet, every so often, a new story surfaces. A tired traveler takes a wrong turn and describes a place they visited for just a moment, a place that was quiet, complete, and utterly impossible to find again. So what are these places? They simply glitches in our perception, dreams we have with our eyes open during a long, monotonous drive. They've forgotten remnants of history, ghost towns that haven't quite faded away. Or are they something else? Places that operate on different rules, existing just outside the borders of our known world. Perhaps you only reach them when you stop trying to arrive. Because if these stories hold any truth, the town that appears only on back roads isn't lost. It's selective. It only reveals itself to travelers who weren't looking for it in the first place. So next time you're on a long drive and your GPS takes you on an unexpected detour, keep your eyes open. You never know what you might find, or what might find you. Thanks for watching. If you have a story about a strange road or a mysterious place, share it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more explorations into the unknown.